Well, that was interesting, and a very nice introduction, if I may say so. Richard and I are very good friends, and like he said, I'm the other Jill here. And like Whitney was talking about, Elizabeth, I don't cook very well either. I make great reservations. See, a lot of us are Jewish, Catholic, I'm learning. But my monologue is about my ongoing intimate relationship with food. You thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? Now, I want to get it right. This is one of the definitions of an intimate relationship. An intimate relationship can be defined by repeated interactions, emotional attachment, and need fulfillment. Intimate relationships play a central role in the overall human experience. Humans have a universal need to belong and to love, which is satisfied when an intimate relationship is formed. Yes, I have an intimate relationship with food ever since I can remember. Everything I do revolves around food. Now here in Louisiana, we all, as we've been listening to all evening, have a very intimate and close relationship with food. We love to eat. Well, in my case, my whole life revolves around food. Be it a meal, be it a glass of wine, or a cup of coffee au lait and beignets at Cafe Du Monde. See, I lived in New Orleans for several years before I came here, and it has so many memories in my brain about Cafe Du Monde. So what is so special about food? What makes it such an intimate experience? Well, first of all, it's that sharing that you're involved with another person. I remember my first night in New Orleans. My dad picked me up from the airport, and he took me to Felix's for raw oysters the very first night. And then, of course, it was beignets after that. Then there was a time I didn't have a date for New Year's, and here I am in my early 20s, I think I'm really hot to trot, no date. And I'm with my parents on New Year's at Brennan's. And then there are the Thanksgivings that my father and I shared, just the two of us, that will always be very special in my mind. But when I think about food, too, I think about those wonderful experiences when I was growing up. I grew up in Los Angeles to very Jewish, very liberal parents. And our big ritual every night was having dinner. My sister and I went to a private school because I was kicked out of public school. I don't know what I did. I did something. I think I told the teacher that she needed to go to the office, and then we had some fun. So we had to go to private school. And we took our classes till 3 o'clock, and then at 6 o'clock my parents picked us up. My mother never cooked, rarely cooked actually. So every night we would go out to dinner, and we would talk about everything, not only how our day was and our aspirations and what we wanted to do in life, but also about all the turbulence that was going on in the world. The late 60s, early 70s were tough times. The Vietnam War, Roe versus Wade, Bobby Kennedy was killed, and then Humphrey and Nixon were battling it out in the presidential campaign. I see some nods. Yeah, you guys remember, at least most of you are old enough. But we talked about everything. From my first kiss to the time I didn't want to kiss and what I said, we laughed, we enjoyed it all. And I think back on those memories, and they're always going to be special to me. And always around food. Fast forward, 2005, 2 weeks before Katrina hit. I get a telephone call from a coach at a Baptist school, Parkview Baptist High School. Hey, you're Homeowners Association president. Do you know anybody that might be interested in taking in an exchange student for the year? You get no money, you have complete responsibility legally, financially, economically. Do you know anybody that can do it? And I thought for a moment, no, but what about me? Well, what I learned, and we all know about our coaches at LSU and the Saints, coaches are great salespeople. So he started selling me hard, and here, even though I'm in sales, I started thinking of reasons why he shouldn't use me. I said, I'm Jewish. He said, that's okay, the kid isn't Baptist. I'm single. That's okay, there's plenty of other basketball moms, one of whom is here. And she'll tell you, they'll tell you what to do. Okay, now I got you. I'm on medical leave, I hurt my back. No worries. Heath can help you around the house and do your chores. Now that was the true sales pitch. I met Heath, and as soon as I shook his hand, I knew that he was going to be living in my house, and I was going to be a rental mom for a year, and I was going to rent myself a kid. 2 hours later, I called the coach and I made a decision, and he was going to come the Saturday before Katrina. Now, for my friends who are here, especially you, Sue, you know how long it takes me to figure out what color I'm going to paint my walls. It's 6 months, 8 months. If you come over my house right now, you'll see all these different colors of paints and all the different rooms, including the bathrooms, some of which have been there for 1.5 years because I can't find a painter. But in 2 hours, I made the decision that I was going to have this 6'8" kid living with me. So I continued the traditions that my parents showed me and told me about and taught me. But the only thing is I had to cook. I couldn't afford to take this kid out every night. So at least 4 nights a week during the entire 8 months that he stayed with me, I cooked dinner. And only once did he tell me he wasn't very hungry. It was a meatloaf. He didn't like it. I knew that. But you see, being Jewish, we always like people to take seconds. Richard, you can attest to this. So instead of putting big portions on the plate, we put half portions so people have to ask for seconds. But only that one time did he say he wasn't too hungry, but he ate everything on his plate. And what I realized is I got to experience being a mom. I mean, the only type of kids I had were called Nike and Reebok, 2 Dobermans, and I had cats. But this was the first time I actually had a child. And I went through withdrawal when I took him to college. And even the first Christmas, or the only Christmas that he actually stayed with me while he was in high school, Miss Jewish woman over here cooked a ham. I had no idea what I was doing. I do eat pork, but I never cooked it. But that was what he wanted. And when we did eat dinners, we talked about his aspirations, how he was going to be a better basketball player, what did he want to do when he grew up, and so forth. So I got to be a basketball mom, and I got to rent myself a son for a year. And occasionally he would come back for a visit, but you know how boys are. They don't keep up quite as good as girls do. Now, on the romantic end, I really like long dinners. I can't say hello in 15 minutes. I can't say goodbye in under 20 or 25. So how in the world can I be with a man that finishes his meal in 25, 30 minutes and says, let's go? So that's a requirement in the romance department. They have to be able to enjoy these long, lengthy, intimate dinners. And I have a secret for you men out there, and you women tell me if that's true. Imagine a very lengthy 2-hour dinner with candles, a little bit of wine. If you don't drink wine, there's seltzer with cherry juice, and then coffee and dessert. Isn't that foreplay? Hello? And I also like guys that have all of their teeth, whether they're a little bit of hair is okay, a sense of humor, love LSU, and so forth. But they have to enjoy the meals. Now, I'm very blessed because I have some wonderful friends. Several of they're here tonight. And I started a book club about 1.5 years ago. And when we first started, and by the way, I handpicked the people in there, all my friends. And if I didn't know you well enough, then I wanted to get to know you. And if you were my good friend, I wanted to see you more often because, you know, everybody gets busy in their lives. But what happens? We see each other every month. And most of us make it every month. Sometimes we even read the books. Well, in the beginning, you notice I said that really quickly. In the beginning, we started at 7 o'clock, and we'd have our dessert, or we'd have meals, we'd have coffee, we'd always have wine, and then we'd talk about the book for most of the evening. Girls, does that happen anymore? No. We meet at 6:30, 6:15, sometimes 6. Sometimes we get a full meal, dessert, coffee, and salad, and always wine. And we talk about everything. We support one another. We laugh. We cry. And sometimes we talk about the book. And I think now it's down to 15, 16 minutes. So sometimes I don't read the book because I don't have time. But the point is, we're sharing an intimate meal. So I look at everything that we've gone through in life, through me, and I look at the definition again of intimacy. During a meal shared, does the emotional intimacy involve individuals discussing their feelings and emotions with each other to gain understanding and offer mutual support? Yeah, I think so. My relationship with food began as a very young child in California, and it has followed me for 30 or so years to Louisiana. It's not that funny. I can pass for 35, at least the right side. But so much I do does revolve around food. And I would think that years from now, when I'm thinking about the wonderful times of my life, I'm going to think about this evening, and very fondly. Some of my closest and dearest friends are here with me, and Richard. Oh yes, we used to date, but here we're laughing. Sometimes during this evening we've laughed so hard we've started crying, and we're meeting new friends. And yes, we're sharing a meal. Is that intimacy? Is that an intimate relationship?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. And Richard.